They never hit you. Maybe they never even yelled that much. On the surface, it looked like a normal childhood. Rules, structure, expectations. They called it discipline. They called it love. But somewhere deep inside you, something quietly shifted, and you are only now beginning to understand what it was. If you grew up in a strict household, this video is about you. Not to blame your parents, but to finally understand yourself. There is a moment most people like you remember. You brought home a grade, not a bad one, a good one, maybe even great. And instead of hearing "I'm proud of you," you heard, "Why not higher?" Or nothing at all. That moment did not just hurt. It taught you something. It taught you that what you do is never quite enough. That approval must be earned. That love is conditional. And your brain, which was still forming, stored that lesson deep. Not as a memory, as a belief. Here is what the research actually shows. Children raised in highly strict, low-warmth environments develop what psychologists call a chronic approval-seeking pattern. They grow up scanning every room for signs of disapproval. They become experts at reading other people's moods. They learn to shrink themselves to avoid conflict. And then they become adults. And they have no idea why they feel this way. At 25, it looks like perfectionism. You cannot submit the work until it is perfect. You replay conversations in your head for hours. You apologize constantly, even when nothing is your fault. You feel a quiet, persistent fear that if people saw the real you, they would leave. At 30, it gets heavier. You realize you have built a life that looks successful from the outside, but feels hollow on the inside. You chose the safe career, not the meaningful one. You stayed in relationships longer than you should have, because conflict felt dangerous. You are exhausted, but you cannot stop, because stopping feels like failure. At 40, some people wake up. They look back and finally connect the dots. The anxiety, the people-pleasing, the inability to rest, the voice in their head that always says, "Not enough." They realize it did not come from nowhere. It was planted. Here is the part no one talks about. Strict parenting does not always look like cruelty. Sometimes it looks like high standards. Sometimes it looks like sacrifice. Your parents may have worked incredibly hard for you. They may have genuinely believed that pressure creates strength. And maybe it did, in some ways. Maybe you are disciplined, driven, resilient. But discipline built on fear is not the same as discipline built on confidence. One makes you perform. The other makes you free. The twist is this. The rules your parents gave you were never really about you. They were about their own fear. Fear that the world would be hard on you if you were not hard enough on yourself first. They were doing what they knew, what was done to them. That does not make the wound smaller, but it does make it make sense. So what do you do with this? You start by noticing the voice, the one that says you are not enough. That voice is not your truth. It is an old instruction, and instructions can be rewritten. You practice doing things imperfectly on purpose. You let a small thing go undone. You say what you actually feel, once, to someone safe. You allow yourself to receive something good without immediately feeling like you do not deserve it. It is slow work. It is uncomfortable work. But it is the most important work you will ever do, because the goal is not to fix yourself. You were never broken. The goal is to stop living by rules that were written for a child who needed to survive. You are not that child anymore. You are allowed to be enough. Right now. Exactly as you are. If this video reached something in you, sit with that feeling. That feeling is information. It is pointing you somewhere important.